Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we consider Job's plight and what he's going through as we've been reading through the book of Job, we might say, if anyone could be justified in perhaps indulging a little bit in some sin, maybe refraining from a few things that one is more morally obligated to do, if anyone would be justified in doing so, it would be Job, especially from Job's standpoint. And from looking at it from just an earthly and fleshly standpoint, Job could reason in his mind and say, you know what? I've been trying to serve the Lord. I've lived a blameless and righteous life before the Lord. And look where it got me. And he could also say, because I feel already that God is behind all the suffering that I'm enduring, that, can anyone really fault me? If I kind of bend the rules a little bit, cheat a little bit there, fade a little bit spiritually over here, and just kind of let off the gas a little bit in my spiritual life and when it comes to my morals. And we can kind of imagine perhaps Job doing something like that, given the great tragedies that he has endured. However, in reality, we don't see him doing that at all. In chapter 23, in verse 10 and following, we have some very inspiring words from Job. In the midst of the struggles that he had in losing his children, losing much of his property, also losing his own health, in the midst of this horrendous situation that he's in which everybody is rejecting him, this is what he says. He says here in chapter 23 and verse 10, he says, "But he knows the way I take." Speaking of God, of course. He says, "When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold." I love that. And he says, continuing on in verse 11, "My foot has held fast to his path. I have kept his way and not turned aside. I have not departed from the command of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my necessary food." Job here is basically just saying, you know what? This is hard. And he's being very, very real about how difficult it is. We've read plenty of Job's complaints and his assessment of the situation. But still, he had a desire to come out of that like pure gold. And not only that, to really keep his integrity, to continue to walk in the paths of the Lord, to still desire the words of the Lord more than his daily portion of food, his necessary food. Job here is showing us a great example of what it means to suffer and yet still live a righteous life. And it reminds me of 1 Peter chapter 1, where the Apostle Peter says this. He says in verse 6, "In this you greatly rejoice, even though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been distressed by various trials, so that the proof of your faith, being more precious than gold, which is perishable, even though tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ." Sounds very similar to the sentiments that Job is expressing there in Job chapter 23. And that should be our desire as well. And this goes for not only the big extreme types of sufferings that we undergo, like tragedy and maybe a great loss that we might experience. It definitely applies there, but even in the small things in life, when our car breaks down or our washing machine ceases to function properly, or maybe we just have a bad day, a rough day at work, or whatever the case may be, from the lesser things all the way to the extreme things, it ought to be that our desire will be to hold on to our integrity and to say, you know what? This is a trying time. This is difficult. It's not easy. And to be very honest and upright or upfront with how we're feeling. But at the same time to say, I'm not going to use this suffering, though, as an excuse to then transgress against the law of the Lord. I'm going to come out of this as pure gold. I'm going to come forth as gold that has been refined by the fire. I'm going to hold fast to my integrity. I'm going to hold fast to the Lord. I'm going to continue to abide in Christ. I'm still going to hold fast to Christ. I'm still going to walk according to the Spirit. I'm still going to hold on to those principles that I've valued for so many years. Even though maybe right now I don't feel like it, even though right now perhaps many people would understand if I didn't do so, still I'm going to hold on to these things. And I'm going to come out of this like gold. And when the Lord's done with me, I'm going to be refined and purified gold that is ready to bring about praise and glory and honor. So hopefully, as we read Job, we'll be inspired by his words here. In the midst of all this suffering, still him holding on to righteous life, still holding on to holiness, still holding on to integrity, and having that desire to really come out of that situation in glory. Hopefully we'll be inspired to do the same, whether we're suffering the little small day-to-day things or the huge and large things that come upon us like waves of the ocean. Still we'll be able to hold fast to the Lord. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our read today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.